Hey, scrappy people, it's Traci Reed here today, coming at you with a life-crafted layout using my brand new Foodie collection available at my shop at tracireed.com. And today I'm going to be doing a layout about my love of food, duh. But actually, all of this journaling, which I printed on clear sticker paper so I could adhere it directly to this already printed Traveler's Notebook signature, all of this journaling talks about how I really love cooking and eating good food for someone whose family couldn't care less about food. I mean, my kids enjoy my food. My husband enjoys my food, but I feel like I'm the only person in this house who is like, their whole life is centered around food and what meal we're going to eat next. And everybody else could survive. I think I put in my journaling, they could survive on candy and air. That is kind of what this layout is about. These are 3 meals that I cooked somewhat recently and took photos of because they were so pretty. And so I talk about how in my journaling, how is it that they don't appreciate good food, or is it that they're so spoiled by having a mom who's been home their whole lives cooking meals like this, basically their whole lives. They're too spoiled to recognize that they get such good food. So, I don't know. It was just some thoughts on mom life, right? Cooking dinner every night and feeding the herd. So what I'm doing is I am replicating the vertical alignment of the Traveler's Notebook signature on the right hand side with these photos on the left. So I have these 3 photos that I printed at 2.5 inches square, and I have matted them on 2 different papers from the collection. One is the solid yellow paper, and then 2 pattern papers from the collection. And then the remainder of that paper that I have left, I am going to create borders on the Traveler's Notebook signature because I do scrapbook at 5 inches wide instead of the standard Traveler's Notebook 4.25 inches wide. So I needed to extend this Traveler's Notebook size paper so that it would be the whole 5 inches. So I decided to do that with the yellow that I had used on the left-hand side. And I'm just using the 5-inch paper on the left to make sure that I had gotten the border size correct, because I just cut it in half. They were 2 1-inch borders. I didn't need quite 1 inch on each side. So I just used it as a template to make sure that the size was the right width. So you can see I have cut or punched the 3-hole punches, the 6 holes in each of my different sides of the layout now, and I'm going to start clustering around these photos with some of the die cuts from the collection. So this layout is already very busy, a lot of things going on, so I'm trying to layer things that aren't necessarily going to detract too much from what's going on the layout already. I want there to be 3 clusters on the left-hand side there with 3 different, I guess the anchors are word bits, so I'm trying to decide what I want, and I decided to go with all of these circles, and the one on the bottom is a half circle, but I decided to go with a circular motif rather than any of the banners because I thought it took up a little less space and worked a little bit better. And I really liked that what the fork is for dinner, so I wanted to incorporate that. So I'm going to wrap those shrimp around that what the fork is for dinner because there is shrimp in that top photo. And then I want to cluster around this yum as well, but I can't decide what I want to add there yet because everything seems a little bit big for that top corner. So I'm going to work my way over here instead and add some florals to the right-hand side of the layout just so that it's not quite a stark vertical layout. There's a little bit going on and breaking those vertical lines as well. I want it to just be plain over there. So I decided to put this floral up in the top right-hand corner, and I'm going to put another floral on this side too, but I don't do it till kind of towards the end after I've got everything else situated because I wanted to make sure everything was balanced first. I really like that Traveler's Notebook signature that said notes from a foodie because it leaves it up to interpretation, right? You can tell a story, you can put a recipe, you can talk about the food, whatever you want. So I liked that title, and I thought it worked out well on this side of the paper, on the side of the spread. All right, I'm going to start putting everything down and building these clusters. I have this cute chef's hat that I'm going to put underneath this on the menu. And it looked like kind of like a big white blob, so I'm going to make sure I put some stuff over the top of that too to sort of mitigate all of that white space. What the fork is for dinner. I thought that was clever, especially since, oh my gosh, I don't know if anybody else's kids ask every single night, what's for dinner? It's like, I don't know. I know that it's like one of the most annoying things universally for parents, but man, it seriously drives me insane because it feels like they're judging you, right? It feels like they're asking you what's for dinner, and then like depending on what you say, they're going to be happy or they're not going to be happy. Even though everything you make is good, they just have their favorites or whatever. So if you're not making one of their favorites, then they're not going to be happy. So it just feels like so much stress every time they ask me what's for dinner. So I thought that what the forks for dinner, it was an appropriate word art for this story in particular, what I'm talking about. Them not really caring. It's so funny. They care, but they don't care. Someday when they have to make their own food every night, they're gonna appreciate me. I decided to put this floral on the outside edge to sort of mirror the floral in the top corner, and I'm going to repeat it again down in the bottom corner, the bottom left corner of the right hand side in a minute. But first I got to figure out what is going to go under here, and those carrots were cute, but they didn't quite, like, they got covered up weird. So I decided to go with these like Fiesta ware plates. I wasn't going to use the plates initially, but I thought that the circle worked really well with all of the circular word arts that I added on there. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to use these cute little bow tie pastas for almost like you would use an enamel dot or a heart, that kind of thing. It's just a cute little glyph that I put on there. So I'm going to put one at the top by the plates, and then I'm going to put one down there with the chef's hat to sort of cover up some of that chef's hat, all of that white space. Cute. So the last thing that I need to do is add in the floral on the left-hand side, or the right-hand side. So I'm going to look for one of those. I don't have a lot of room down there to really add something because the text is left justified. So like there's not really a lot of room between the edge of the text and the edge of that side of the layout. So all of these floral clusters that are included in the collection, I had to find one that sort of wrapped around that bottom corner a little bit, which was a little hard, but I got it to work. And then because I had to cut so much off, I'm going to repurpose the part that I cut off on the other side of the layout. You know me, I can't let anything go to waste, so I always make sure that if I cut off enough that it still makes a picture, then I include it on the other side too. But that is it for this layout. If you enjoyed the video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I'd love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Traci M. Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. And if you want to pick up the Foodie collection, there is a link in the description box below. Thank you.